Good morning and welcome to Korea Today, live from Seoul.
June 12th is the proposed date for the two Koreas to hold ministerial-level talks, the first of its kind in 6 years. A lot on the agenda. What is on Pyongyang's agenda? We'll look into that.
South Korean entities related to inter-Korean projects are respectively holding meetings today. More coming up in the headlines.
And how did the nation's newspapers cover the big news of the day? Coming up on In Print.
Historical dramas with added twists are continuing to grab a steady viewership in Korea. What's the secret? Take a trip back in time to find out with Denny Hong. Cooking with watermelons. There's more to watermelons than meets the eye. We take you to a watermelon village to pick and cook with a popular summer treat on Korea Today, Friday, June 7, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Good morning. You're watching Korea Today.
Thank you for joining us. The top headline this morning is the much-anticipated talks between the two Koreas. China and Japan have expressed a positive opinion on the steps that are being taken, and Washington has also welcomed the news and confirmed support for inter-Korean peace, but remain cautious on the subject and the prospect of talks between Washington and Pyongyang, saying that denuclearization should be on top of the agenda in any talks with the regime.
Right. Attention is being paid on the timing of the announcement of North Korea's decision to resume dialogue. And some analysts are pointing to the fact that it came a day before the summit talks between U.S. President Barack Obama and Chinese leader Xi Jinping. And it also follows the North Korean special envoy's visit to China. So it appears to be that Beijing has flexed its muscles somewhat.
And for more on this, join us for our headlines coming up next.
We propose holding talks between authorities of North and South Korea for the normalization of operations at the Kaesong Industrial Complex and the resumption of tours to Mount Kumgang. Humanitarian issues such as reunions of separated families and their relatives can be discussed at the talks if necessary.
We propose holding ministerial-level inter-Korean talks on June 12th in Seoul to resolve inter-Korean issues such as the Kaesong Industrial Complex, Mount Kumgang tourism, and the reunions of separated families.
So the two Koreas have agreed to talk on a government level after months of escalating tensions on the Korean Peninsula. As you heard, the talks will most likely take place next week in Seoul. On Thursday, South Korea also urged North Korea to reconnect the inter-Korean hotline that was severed by Pyongyang earlier this year. Will this be the turning point for a possible resumption of the stalled six-party nuclear disarmament talks is what many are wondering. Experts, however, say by not mentioning any nuclear issues and only inter-Korean business and humanitarian projects, the communist state is trying to lay out a softer agenda and avoid the matter of denuclearization. Next week's minister-level talks come after North Korea conducted a third nuclear test in February in protest over international sanctions against its long-range rocket launch in December. It also comes 2 months after Pyongyang unilaterally pulled out all of its workers from the joint inter-Korean Kaesong Business Park, the last remaining symbol of inter-Korean cooperation. South Korean resident companies at the Kaesong Industrial Complex let out a breath of relief following Pyongyang's offer of dialogue. The business owners will hold an emergency meeting this Friday afternoon in the hope of resuming operations within the next 2 weeks. South Korea's Hyundai Corporation, meanwhile, the organization of cross-border tours to the Mount Kumgang Resort in North Korea, says it will also hold an emergency meeting on Friday to discuss ways to resume the inter-Korean project. Tours to Mount Kumgang, which started in 1998, came to a halt in 2008 after a South Korean tourist was shot dead by a North Korean soldier. North Korea's state mouthpiece, Korean Central Television, has started providing live streams on its official Facebook page. This is seen as a step forward by the reclusive regime to develop its internet presence and spread state propaganda. In North Korea, only a few hundred elite are believed to have access to the internet. South Korea's National Police Agency, in the meantime, has requested blocking the KCTV live feed for its citizens, saying accessing official North Korean internet sites violates the country's national security law. And moving on with yet another very warm day in the forecast, Korea is bracing itself for another possible power shortage warning. Power authorities say a level 2 or attention level warning could be issued on Friday for the second time this year, with the peak hours of power consumption to be between 2 and 3 p.m. The Korea Power Exchange says it is coming up with measures to keep the country's power reserves above 4 million kilowatts. Korea has been trying to prevent power shortages since 2 of the nation's nuclear reactors were suspended last month after they were found out to contain parts with forged quality certificates. Power authorities are keeping a close eye on the nation's power reserves as the hot summer wave is expected to arrive on the peninsula in August.
And happy Friday, everyone. The apparently thawing relations between Seoul and Pyongyang is overwhelmingly the top story on our papers this morning. So let's go ahead and begin with 조선일보. Its headline reads, South Korean government says, let's hold inter-Korea minister-level talks in Seoul on the 12th. Now, the Seoul government swiftly responded to Pyongyang's invitation for dialogue yesterday by suggesting the meeting happen next Wednesday in Seoul. And among the key agenda items brought up so far would be the reopening of the Kaesong Industrial Complex, the Mount Kumgang Tourism Project, inter-Korean family reunions, and also holding an event to celebrate the anniversary of the June 15th joint declaration. Now, the paper says it appears likely that a meeting will happen sometime next week. The Seoul government, it says, is also analyzing the intention behind this surprise invitation, whether it is a fundamental change in stance to smooth out inter-Korean relations or, as you heard earlier, a tactical decision on Pyongyang's part to avoid further pressure ahead of the summit talks set to occur amongst Seoul, the U.S., and China. Now, the image features a ladylike shot of President Park Geun-hye there yesterday at the Seoul National Cemetery, returning to her seat after wrapping her Memorial Day address. The caption says, in it, she called on North Korea to make efforts toward becoming a responsible member of the international community. And the paper notes that 2 hours after that was when the North called for working level talks. So certainly a series of events happening very quickly yesterday. Meanwhile, the image on JoongAng Daily also shows President Park here at her afternoon schedule of visiting Seoul Veterans Hospital. It was, of course, Memorial Day yesterday, and here she is conversing with 94-year-old independence patriot Shin Deok-young. It says she wished him a full recovery in his struggle with Alzheimer's disease. Meanwhile, the headline above it reads, Kim Jong-un takes one step back from pressure 3 ways. And that's, of course, pressure from South Korea, the U.S., and China. The newspaper says it believes the invitation came directly from the North's leader, Kim Jong-un, based on the wording of the KCNA broadcast, adding that it comes in the context, again, of those summit talks amongst Seoul, Washington, and Beijing, adding that the impending dialogue should be watched closely for sincerity on Pyongyang's part. And scooting over to Gyeongyang Shinmun, lots of happy faces on its front page here. It shows recovered smiles on the business owners of Kaesong Industrial Park. And the man with his face forward toward the camera is Han Jae-kwon, the head of the Kaesong Industrial Complex Companies Association. And the caption says that the image was taken as the group was preparing a statement right after the North's invitation for dialogue. So certainly a lot of optimism in the air today. Now, 동아일보's main headline on the story of the day reads, in search of exit, North Korea extends hand on Memorial Day. And the image below the caption of it asks, will the Mount Kumgang tours be restarted finally after 5 years? Now, the tours, of course, had been shuttered since July 11th, 2008, and it shows tourists looking toward the North Korean side, and particularly the Gusonbong Hills, which is also known as the Camel Hills for its shape, and that is the end of the Mount Kumgang range that you are seeing there. Right, we'll leave that there and take a look at our final newspaper for today. The Mail Business newspaper goes one step further with its headline, and it reads, Government Pursuing Kaesong Industrial Park II in DMZ. Now, the newspaper says that in its digging, it found various related government and research bodies had actually met on Tuesday this week to discuss a blueprint for such a South-North peace zone, which is expected to be situated in one of the border towns, including Paju, Yeoncheon, and Cheolwon. Also under consideration, it says, is building a large agriculture complex near the Mount Kumgang tourism area to grow produce to feed the North Koreans currently riddled with a food shortage. Now, combine that with the idea of making this second industrial zone a collaboration zone by filling it with agriculture, distribution, and energy-related companies. The paper says it seems Seoul considered the needs of North Korea while compiling this proposal. And of course, more to come on that, hopefully. That wraps your look at what's in print on this Friday morning. The Korean markets were closed yesterday, but here comes the rest of your market action from Thursday.
And staying on the topic of the inter-Korean dialogue, we have Professor Song Se-ryun from Kyunghee University joining us to talk more. Thank you for being here, Professor.
Good morning.
Right, so the deadlock in inter-Korean relations had continued for quite some time, and Pyongyang repeatedly turned down offer of talks. But why the sudden change in mind?
I think there are several factors converging at this point. One is that South Korea, U.S., and China has formed a consistent front as opposed to northern provocations. So I think that the message has been delivered to North Korea in that sense. President Park has been principled and pretty firm against North Korea. The relationship between U.S. and South Korea pretty solid in terms of strategies. And lately, China has joined in the stance sending North Korea warnings. So I think North Korea has got the sense that this is not the time to further provocate and probably ease the tensions. And another factor would be that North Korea realizes that they overplayed this brinkmanship a little bit too much. And I think that they want to change the situation. But I suspect also that a lot of warmongering has been for the internal purposes. Kim Jong-un, very young, he was trying to establish himself as a leader. I think he did that, being very tough. But this time around, he has to show that he can deliver to people that on the livelihood side. So I think there are a lot of factors converging to the more of a dialogue and talks.
Right, so it would be fair to say that Pyongyang originally had what they had was to talk maybe with the international community, but for the internal union, they did show brinkmanship and they did launch threats.
They did all the bits they are used to. If you look at it a little bit cynically, I mean, this is in the playbook. They increase the tensions, and then they ease the tensions, and while doing that, they milk.
Right, the vicious cycle.
Right. So nothing has changed if you look at it that way. Probably, though, the things have not gone the North's way, that what the North has hoped. So they might not be expecting too much out of this, but they need to kind of turn back the clock a little bit and ease the tension so that they can at least get something out of the international community, not just Korea.
Well, South Korea's President Park Geun-hye has been pursuing and sticking to her principle of trust politique process on the Korean Peninsula. And it seems like she is on the right track. What is the Park Geun-hye administration trying to get out of this dialogue?
I think she is on the right track. And this is a right track in terms of her pledges. Campaign pledges has been to have a better relationship with the North. So this is a step towards having an economic relationship restored, and maybe a tad bit more. I think she wants to get out of at least, in the near term, summit talks between North and South, so that they'll see where it leads from there.
And as you mentioned, this proposal comes after China, Pyongyang special envoy visited China, and speculation is that China has not been very happy with Pyongyang. So would it be fair to say that China did play a huge role in this?
I think they played a decisive role. I don't think North have said, well, we'll bow to South's wish or U.S.'s wish. I think they've been trying to find a way out of kind of brinksmanship and also opportunity to ease the tension. China just plays that role and fits a role. North could say, well, big brother China, if you say so, we'll come out to the table. I think that they got the sense that Xi Jinping is moving the other way. They cannot play their game without China's support, or at least China being neutral. Now China joined this firm stance against North Korea, so North Korea does not have any choice.
And it looks like the timing of it all is very delicately calculated as well. It comes a day before the announcement came before President Barack Obama and Chinese leader Xi Jinping's meeting, and also ahead of President Park Geun-hye and Chinese President Xi Jinping's meeting next month, slated for this month actually.
Right.
And is this Pyongyang's way of, like you said, trying to have maybe maneuver to their goal and their internal unity, and maybe not talk about the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula?
I think that's the key. I mean, they realize that looking at how things have progressed, the talks between the Obama and Xi Jinping, and also Park and Xi Jinping, will not produce anything they like. So if they want to change the situation, they have to show that they are willing to at least talk. So they're trying to create some sort of materials that these summit talks will produce some kind of aids. But at the same time, North Korea wants to ease the tensions very desperately at this point. So I think they're trying to create a certain opportunity for not only for South Korea but the international community.
How much do you think support in the international community will have for South Korea, especially after the holding of the inter-Korean dialogue next week?
Well, the key is as you mentioned, the denuclearization, whether there becomes a kind of deal-breaking point. I'm very curious as to what Obama's stance on this, because he has not really clearly laid out. Even if North Korea comes out to kind of deal with the economic situation and bowing to the needs of the South Korea and the international community, but North Korea has been pretty adamant in holding on to the nuclear card.
Right.
Are they going to give up? And more importantly, whether U.S. will insist that any kind of aid, any kind of international community's help is predicated upon the denuclearization. I think that would be the key point, and I suspect that they are trying to ease the tension at this point before the summit talks, because they want to avoid a situation where international community really kind of converge on the idea that only way that they will help out North Korea is based on the denuclearization.
Right. And not long ago, Pyongyang did say that they will not give up their nuclear ambitions. So I guess this time it looks like we'll have to wait and see if this is going to be any different from the past experiences that we had with North Korea.
Right. I think the key is not to get too excited about whatever North does. I think we've been cool and collected and stay the course.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Professor, for joining us and sharing your insights today.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Right, things are definitely warming up between the two Koreas, but guess what's warmer? The weather. It is so warm and so hot these days, just outright hot.
That's right. We'll get a check on the weather updates for today and also a peek into the weekend weather with Dami joining us. Good morning. Is it warm out there, Dami?
Good morning, everyone, and TGIF. Yes, it is quite warm this morning. As you can see, I have finally worn my no-sleeve outfits this morning. Current conditions, I am reporting live from Seongnam, Gyeonggi Province, and this morning the sun is already out and about, burning people's skins. However, I am standing under the shade, and it is quite nice and refreshing, quite cool this morning. Current temperatures are about 20 degrees Celsius. However, later in the afternoon, our temperatures will be peaking, maybe in the 30s or even higher in some parts of the areas. Now, over in the eastern coast, however, conditions will look a tad bit cooler. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather around Korea. Now in Seoul and Daejeon, it will be the hottest with highs peaking all the way up to 31 degrees. Daegu will also be quite hot at 29. However, Gangneung, Busan, and Jeju look a bit cooler at 23, 25, and 24 degrees. Now over the weekend, we will be seeing hot summer conditions, so try not to stay out directly under the sun for long periods. As for the beginning of next week, we can expect some signs of precipitation. Make sure to keep yourselves updated with the forecast. Now, I know that the weather seems unbearably hot these days, but instead of instantly turning on the AC, how about taking a nice cool shower or bringing out your portable fans? That's all I have for the weather. I'll be back in the latter half to show you something fun.
A great performance you might want to check out this weekend. Starting tomorrow, the Korea National Opera will put on stage 처용, an original Korean opera based on the myth of 처용, a fictional character of the ancient Silla kingdom. The opera, which was first staged in 1987, is now reborn with some interesting twists. And we're now joined by composer I영조를. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on our program. Yeah. Now, first of all, tell our foreign viewers and some Korean viewers who 처용 is and why his story is so captivating.
처용 is a son of a heavenly gods, guardian of a Silla dynasty long ago. So he going to save the corruption Silla. It came down from heavenland to earth, but he corrupted too. So this is kind of a good thing or free will versus fate. Fighting, but bitter frustration and frustrating by God.
Right. In the end, who wins?
God.
Right. Well, this is an ancient, based on the mythical story, but you add some modern twist to it. What made you?
Yeah, this opera used to perform 4 times. So every time I visit back to Silla, so all the Korean customs and the building. But I thought this is enough. We are living in 21st century, so I wanted to invite him to modern city. He is here, 압구정동, 청담동, or Hongdae.
Right, all the happening places.
So then, naturally, the clothing and the sound must be changed. So it's not easy, but the idea is the same, but with the modern sense. I will invite him to young age in here.
Okay, so he's going to be in a trench coat and a tie, I believe, right?
Yeah, with the blue jeans.
Blue jeans, symbol
with
of
the
youth. Right, now, this was put on stage 26 years ago. What's different about the 2013 version?
Technically, in older version, the character is limited to just 1 female singers and 6 low voice singers. For composer, it's very heavy job, but very challengeable. And this time, I put more female chorus, which is so many variety, and the vocal sound is more harsh, but it makes sense.
I see. Well, you're well known in the U.S. and also in Asia for having composed Hwang Jin-이. Who do you think has a special place in your heart, Hwang Jin-이 or 처용?
처용.
Definitely.
After 처용, I thought I need a more easy and favorable piece for audience.
I see.
처용 I don't think about the audience. It's just music and me.
Oh, wow.
But Hwang Jin-hee, I always think about for the audience, for the performance. So it's performed 35 times in USA, China, Moscow, Vietnam, Russia.
Beijing and Tokyo as well.
But Chong is more philosophy deeper thing.
I see.
Yeah.
And how can audiences best enjoy the performance, Tcheo Yong?
Yeah, there's some pieces, very variety, like woman trios, chorus, and dance, especially goblins dance, you know, very interesting. But it's with some modern rhythm and lighting. So, audio visual.
Okay, well, share with us the highlight of the performance, just a little teaser.
I would say, basically, the opera is Western style, but I use some Western style, just a module, but the spirit is in Korean. So, like this, you know, this is Western style, but we can serve sanghwa-cha, something,
of course.
not coffee, you know. So, but this also goes.
Korean tea.
Yeah, Korean tea. That's this opera.
I see.
So with the Korean mentality and idiom, with the Western instrument and technique, that's the Cheo.
So this performance, Tcheo Yong, will be put on stage for 2 days, June 8th and 9th at the Seoul Arts Center, right?
At 3 o'clock.
Right,
PM.
at 3 o'clock, so don't miss it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, composer I영조를, for your time and insight this morning.
Thank you.
And still ahead on Korea Today, historical dramas in Korea continue to be wildly popular, many infused with fantasy or mystery plots. What makes these shows so popular? We take you behind the scenes of one particular show. And now we want to introduce you to a stage rendition of Lady Macbeth, which is a modern spin-off of Shakespeare's own Macbeth. It's been performed on stages since 1998 in theaters all around the world. Let's take a look. Lady Macbeth, popular worldwide, has swept the Best 5 Performance Awards handed out by the National Theatre Association of Korea. After premiering in 1998 in Korea, Lady Macbeth, directed by Han Tae-suk, takes on a new and more vibrant face from 15 years ago. The play will be on for 10 days, starting June 6th through the 16th, in the heart of the Performance Arts District, Daeangno. Let's take a look at the long-standing play as it goes on stage once again in Korea with its leading cast. Lady Macbeth is based on a play by Shakespeare but focuses on the emotions of not Macbeth but his wife. It looks into the struggles that Lady Macbeth faces after she convinces her husband to murder the king to fulfill her lust for power.
손을 보세요. 이 손도 당신과 똑같이 피투성이 가득잖아요. 그렇지만 이제 물 한 컵만 가지면 이 손은 물론이고 우리의 범행도 말끔히 씻어버릴 수가 있어. 참.
One of the most interesting aspects of this play is that actor Chung Dong-hwan doubles as Macbeth and the court doctor. A deliberate decision that assists in highlighting the emotions of Lady Macbeth.
이제 방법이 없어. 우리가 죽인 자들에게 우리가 죽임을 당하기 전에 우리 두 사람은 미치든지 자살하든지.
It was most challenging to translate a story from the past so that it would resonate with our audience today.
Lady Macbeth combines the conventional play environment with the use of various props and objects to enhance the emotional turmoil of the lead character. Body movements within the play that express strong but detailed emotions of the characters add another charm for its viewers.
In this performance, the actors and props all come together to create a stronger character and atmosphere. You'll be able to experience the barriers between the stage and the audience breaking down. That's why people who come here will feel like they have been dragged directly into the story.
Lady Macbeth intertwines on stage the vast array of perceptions about human nature and theatricality through various tools of expression of the inner self.
Every time you turn on the TV here in Korea, more often than not, you will be able to catch some kind of historical dramas being aired. And it's been a decade since this boom began. It's still going as strong as ever. And our Danny Hong joins us for this story. Good morning, Mr. Hong.
Good morning. Good to be here, right? And when it comes to the historical dramas, obviously we've been talking about them a few different times so far on this segment. But when it comes to the enduring popularity, yes, it's been about a decade. I would say even a little bit more than that, because I remember watching that with my parents when I was younger too. But like last year, we had Masquerade, of course, that was a 10 million viewer mark that hit on the box office, as well as we also had The Moon Embracing the Sun as one of the dramas on TV last year too. And so we're going to be looking at the continuing trend and seeing how they are still popular today, and of course what makes them so. So we're going to look at that and talk about it after we see the video.
I watch 처용’ a lot.
I watch Gu Family Book often.
I enjoy watching Chang-ok-jung Live and Love.
What do Chang-ok-jung, Live and Love, the Gu Family Book, and 처용’ all have in common? All of them are historical dramas, but with an added modern twist. All airing in time slots popular with young viewers, they mix in elements of fantasy and mystery. Leading the wave is Gu Family Book, featuring Lee Seung-gi and Susie from Miss A, which tells the tale of a half-man, half-beast. What's grabbing people's attention is the struggle of the half-human, half-beast character, Choi, played by actor Lee Seung-gi, and the sweet romance he has with the character Tam-yeol, played by Susie. 처용’, the story of a falsely accused fugitive in the Joseon dynasty, lures in its audience with its story loaded with suspense. As conflicts surrounding its main characters build up, the story intensifies in its search for the truth. Why are historical dramas so consistently popular?
I think historical dramas are doing well because they are using popular young stars and also adding elements of romance and mysteries into the plot.
And lastly, let's turn to Chang-ok-jung, Live and Love, which tells one of the most popular historical stories of Queen Jang Hee-bin. Each episode continues to make headlines with its heated love story between actress Kim Tae-hee and actor Yoo Ah-in.
더는 내게 등을 보이지도 뒷걸음질 치지도 마라. 길은 내가 좁혀갈 것이다.
Still early in the day, but preparations are underway for a shoot of Chang-ok-jung. Despite the intense filming schedule, the cast and crew members are fully invested in creating a better show. For actress Kim Tae-hee, it's the first time playing a lead role in a historical drama. But with Yoo Ah-in sweeping scenes with his charisma, the two create an intense chemistry. And there's also K-pop girl group Kara's Han Seung-yeon making her first drama debut. A combination of strong characters and committed actors makes the drama shine. As historical dramas continue to dominate the scene, interests are high on whether they will be able to grab the attention of the global audience.
Now, I'm pretty sure those kiss scenes were not in historical dramas 15 years back. I remember my father used to try to get me to watch 용의 눈물 or Tears of the Dragon. and I just couldn't watch it. I didn't understand what they were saying exactly.
전하 처용'i 만극하옵니다. That's like the tagline.
Yeah,
right?
that's what
always there.
It's a challenging genre to understand and also act as well.
Well, when it comes to the dialogue, that's definitely one of the most difficult parts of acting this when it comes to any actress, no matter how seasoned it might be, because the language is not familiar to. It's kind of like, I guess in English, you'd be speaking in Shakespearean dialogue the entire time. It was very difficult. Same thing, you can't ad-lib as much. So even Kim Tae-hee, in her current drama that she's starring in right now, she actually recently put up on social networking sites herself practicing the lines because it is very difficult. She can't ad-lib, so she has to memorize them verbatim. And that definitely makes it a challenge, as well as, of course, creating the atmosphere to make it look somewhat authentic to the period piece. I think that's probably where the most difficulty comes, but also that's probably where the attractiveness of the entire historical dramas come from too, because it's something you cannot see on a daily basis, which probably attracts more viewers, in my opinion.
Right. A lot of people watch it because there are the idol stars in it, right?
Well, that's more of a newer trend, I would say, too. Obviously, you know, when it comes to the current actresses that might be starring in these, we have from the Gu family book, we have from Miss A, Susie is in there too, as well as Kim Tae-hee, we also just mentioned there too. From Jaya, we actually have another one of the members there too. So it's kind of, again, we mentioned this before, I believe, but more of a cross-marketing trend, enabling a variety of audience members to actually enjoy these dramas itself.
And it looks like other weekly dramas are a little bit suffering from viewership ratings, but historical dramas are doing pretty well.
I would say that's the case because, again, the overall arching aspect of who is watching it, right? So obviously for our parents' generation, they'll watch just because it is part of history and it's a little bit of fantasy. But at the same time, for the younger groups, maybe it's because of the idol stars that are also being featured in these series, or also maybe because the stories have also evolved to be a little bit more accessible. They're not as, I guess, too out there. There's no word I can describe here, but it's commonly understood. The love stories are still there, and all the drama and the action sequences that we're familiar with are also there too. So I think the popularity, the trend will definitely continue on, and we can look forward to more fusion genres as well, I think, in the future.
For me, I personally watch it because I want to take a look at those beautiful hanbok.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Is it the hanbok or the actors?
hanbok.
All right, thank you, Denny, for that.
Thank you, Denny.
And here.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
All right, that was your K Entertainment, and we had a kick out of watching that. When it comes to entertainment, you can't leave out the K-pop top 5.
And still ahead, a visit to a small village to pick some watermelons. On this week's Korea Eats, we show you some unique watermelon dishes cooked up with some of the most popular summer fruits in Korea. That's with Matthew Jung.
Join the Now I Am to talk about sports. Yeah, that is pretty difficult to ad-lib that, isn't it? All right, it was the biggest series in the KBO so far this season. Nexon and Samsung entered with equal records atop the standings. But since then, Nexon has taken a one-game lead. Samsung had one last chance to reel the Heroes back in again, or could it become a two-game gap? Let's go to Mokdong to find out what happened yesterday in the first inning. So Dong-uk draws a walk with the bases loaded, giving Nexon a 2-0 lead and a little bit of foreshadowing into the future. In the fifth, Nexon with a 5-2 lead. Kang Yoon-gu walks it away, literally. He walks the bases loaded, then gives a free pass to Park Seok-min, making it 5-3. He then walks Choi Hyung-woo. That would make it 5-4. And Jin Gap-young steps up to the plate. Guess what? Walks him. 5-5. With the bases loaded, Kang Yoon-gu would walk 9 batters in the game. Now, every pitcher in the game seemed to have control problems. Nexon's Lee Tae-kun gets beamed in the 7th. With the game tied at 7, probably wasn't deliberate, but he doesn't like it, so the bench is clear. Nothing happens in the end. Well, other than more control problems for Samsung. 3 more runs were walked in, and then Nexon cap it off in the 8th as Park Byung-ho starts to heat up again. That's his 11th homer of the year. 3-run shot. Nexon crushed Samsung 15-7. Tucson and LG finish off their Battle of Seoul series in the 5th. Kim Young-hee to right. He would hit 3 for 4 in the game with a pair of runs and a pair of ribbies as well. And he would make it to 3rd on a triple. In the 6th, though, Chung Hee-yoon is going to take this to right field. Chung Soo-bin coming out of nowhere to make the diving catch, getting completely airborne. Got to take another look at that one. Beautiful. Well, you know, next inning, Kim Young-hee goes deep to right. That is his first homer of the year. It helps LG to a 5-4 victory over the Bears. Kia at Lotte. Shin Bong-gi grounds to first. Choi Hee-sup is there, but not all there, if you know what I mean. Lotte rally for 5 in the 3rd as they would take a 6-1 lead. Yeah, right through the wickets. In the 6th, Hona Sup taking this to center. That's good for a single. He was 3 for 5 in the game, raising his league-leading average to 356. His Giants would trample the Tigers 13-3. NC and SK, Cho Young-hoon grounds to 3rd. Chan Chung going home on the plate. Yeah, throws a little bit off, though. He is safe at home as the run scores. In the 5th, Kwon Hee-dong homering to left, his 3rd on the year. That made it 5-0 for NC, who would hang on for a 7-4 victory over SK. Over in Japan, a terrible day for Lee Dae-ho. He was 0 for 4 with a pair of strikeouts. His Oryx Buffaloes fell to Chunichi 2-1. It's the 2nd straight game that he went hitless. It drops his average down to 325 on the season. Still not too bad, however. All right, let's talk a little bit about Son Yeon-jae. She was on the brink of claiming her first ever major title in rhythmic gymnastics as she's looking very good going into the finals of the Asian Championships in Uzbekistan. Son, who topped the standings in both the hoop and ball, continued her solid performance in the ribbon with an 18.433. That is her best score so far at this tournament. Son's lowest score, however, did come in the clubs at the same time. She managed just 17.8, but Son's overall total of 54.866 going into the finals. That puts her 1.5 points better than her next closest competitor, so definitely looking very good going into the finals. Korea's national soccer team has an all-important match against Uzbekistan on Tuesday at home. Korea hasn't played any friendlies leading up to these most recent set of games, but the Uzbeks are preparing for Korea very specifically as they played China yesterday, and they had to come from behind on goals from Ulugbek Bakayev as well as Server Japarov, who plays in Seongnam over in the K-League Classic. They led Uzbekistan to a 2-1 victory over China. And, you know, whenever you start something new, you're bound to run into problems. Just ask the K-League and their new promotion system that has the top team in the K-League Challenge, which is the 2nd division, play the 12th team in the K-League Classic, the top. Now, the winner of that stays in the Classic, whilst the loser goes down to the Challenge. Now, here's the problem. Currently, the police team is in first place in the K-League Challenge by 4 points on the Army team. Now, they boast former national team players like Oh Bum-sak, Lee Ho-jun, Jung Jo-guk, Yeom Gi-hoon, who are all doing their Army time right now. So they're dominating the 2nd division. The problem is, they don't have their own field, certainly not one that meets the AFC standards. And that is a must if you're going to play in the K-League Classic, which has 4 teams entered into the AFC Champions League each year. So the K-League has stated that if the police team does win the league, there will not be a playoff to decide if they can play in the Classic or not. Kind of unfortunate. But anyways, that is your look at sports. Remember to eat healthy and get some exercise today.
Thank you, Jason. Our Dami joins us from a bubble show, and a little birdie told me that she's going to be in a giant bubble.
One of those big bubbles. We're talking about the bubbles that you make out of soap.
Right, but like a giant bubble.
Well, I'm going to have to see this for myself.
Right.
Tommy, over to you.
All right, well, I'm glad that you guys are excited because so am I. I'm reporting live from Seoul Arts Center where the Alice in Wonderland Bubble Show is going on. So here at the Bubble Show, just like the title implies, you can only imagine how adventurous all these experience programs can be. But not only that, they're both educational and fun at the same time. So that's why it's receiving a lot of popularity from the families. But let's go ahead and try out some of the experiences. Now this is the Bubble Egg Center. And basically what happens is, so inside this container is hot water and they put dry ice into it, which makes carbon dioxide right here. And then once it touches the soapy water, woo, look at that! It makes bubble eggs. Isn't that so cool? Okay, all right, let's go into the next section. If you follow me here, this right here is the Dragon Village. Apparently, if you take up or use one of these tools, and then you kind of dip it into the soapy water, and then you blow into it. Oops, it popped. Okay. Woo, it's so pretty. All right. Now, there's one more thing that I want to show you, which is the bubble screen. Now, all throughout the exhibition, it's really nice because it is themed in Alice in Wonderland, so it seems like I'm actually in a fairy tale. All right, bubble screen up, please. All right, so that was just a glimpse of some of the experience programs that you can try here at the Exhibition Center. There's so much more. I'm only showing you a couple of you. And here is Minjung's favorite, which is the Bubble Castle. Okay, this is really intimidating. I'm inside a huge bubble. All right, so this exhibition will go on until June 23rd. It is open every day except Mondays. You can check the times out in the website. Okay, well, that's all I have. I'm Idami, Korea Today. One more time.
Tommy did not burst Minjung's bubble.
All right, thank you, Tommy, for that. Right.
And got in that bubble. Yeah, those bubbles are actually very, very popular with the kids. So if you do have some time, Seongnam might be the place to go this weekend. And joining us for our watermelon show is
the watermelon itself. And Matthew Chung.
You know, as much as I love watermelon, I'm kind of sad. This segment has 100% less bubbles than But yeah, so here's the thing. I mean, it's hot out right now, and but I'm usually pretty okay with the heat. But you know how I know it's summer is when watermelons and tomatoes start becoming delicious.
That's so true.
I mean, like that to me, like that, that is the signifier. Just like how beautiful falling leaves are a sign of fall. Watermelon, in this case, watermelon from Puyo in South Chungcheong Province at the Songjuk farming village. That is the key to summer. So today we're out in Puyo. It's in South Chungcheong Province, and it's not the closest place to the city, to Seoul. It's about 2.5 hours, depending on traffic. But man, is it worth it. For one, this place is steeped in history. 1,400 years ago, it was the capital of the Baekje dynasty. And two, it's gorgeous. I mean, just take a look around. And three, we're here at the Songjuk farming village to see what delicious things this season has in store for us. So when you trim a watermelon off the vine, you want to leave it so that it forms a little T shape, just like so. Take off any of the dead leaves. And it should make a duller sound when you thump it or when you flick it, rather than a more harsher metallic tinging sound. All right, so unlike the watermelons we were just picking earlier, it is super simple to tell when a tomato is ripe, when it looks like this. And of course, there are different varieties of tomatoes, and they have different indicators of ripeness. But when it comes to cherry tomatoes, they should be red, ripe, and juicy. The chef here at Songjuk Farming Village, she's going to show me 3 dishes that she's developed, each using a different part of the watermelon. This is what we're going to turn into jam, and this juice right here, this is going to form the basis for our kalguksu. And you start off with a boiling watermelon stock. So now comes the point where we put the kal in kalguksu, meaning that kal literally means knife in Korean. So we're going to hand cut these noodles. There's something about homemade noodles, no matter where you're from. Yeah, it's comforting. It's the original soul food, and this broth. So once you get that tough, fibrous green layer from the outside off, we can start preparing it to be used in the sweet and sour pork. So the sauce itself, when that watermelon juice is cooked down, it almost has like a cucumber flavor to it. And the watermelon rind, when it's fried, it almost has like a zucchini squash flavor. But when you put them back together, they taste like watermelon again. It's kind of nuts. So we're about to make the watermelon jam. So not only do you need to divide out your sugar into 3 different portions, so if you have 100 grams of sugar, then you divide it out to 33, 33, 33. It tastes nothing like watermelon, and that's almost a good thing. All right, I've had a fantastic day at the farm here so far, and I want to pay them back, so I'm going to make a dish of my own. It's super simple. It's just going to be a little fried chicken with a nice summer salad. All right, now we're going to start the pickling solution for our watermelon rind and our green tomatoes. Pour it right over. We'll make our dressing for the salad. Have some honey in there. Nice and easy. Add a little bit of salt. You want to be right at about 170 degrees. Whisk in this dressing and onto our salad. There we go. So I've invited the chef over here to taste my take on the summer salad with a little bit of fried chicken using all the ingredients that were grown right here.
Sorry, that doesn't look like a perfect 10. Yeah. Not. Right, well, a lot to do in this Songjuk village, huh?
There is. It's a fantastic place. So right now it's summertime, so you have all the great sort of summer vegetables that you get. You know, the watermelon, the tomatoes, and then any other time during the year, they're available to go, and you can pick produce fresh from the farm, and you can even order it as well. So you can call in, and it's a great way to support local farming.
Mm-hmm. You know how when you were mixing the mix for the batter for the noodles, you used the watermelon juice. I mean, can you taste the watermelon when you actually have the noodles?
No, the watermelon taste doesn't really come through, but the reason why they do that is because when they make that jam, right, they drain out all the grated watermelon, so they had that juice left over. So so they utilize every single part of the watermelon and not let any of it go to waste.
Yeah. I like how it's a little pink.
Yeah, right. The colors. It's actually kind of a lighter color of Hyung-young's jacket. Actually, It's kind
much
of
lighter than
but it's kind
watered
of
down.
Yeah, it's a very lovely shade of coral. It's something that I've never really tasted before. And of course, even though you can't taste it, you do get those extra little, that extra little nutritious boost that you would get from watermelon juice.
All right, well, let's get this watermelon out of the way.
You've been eyeing it all morning.
Room, right?
One thing is that
this
is a Korean watermelon, and it differs from certain Western watermelons. They're a bit more ovular or oval.
Yes, they're more oblong, and that's the thing. Different types of watermelon from around the world.
Before you do that, I want to do this.
Is it
good?
That's
That's how you know how ripe it is.
Is it good? Check it.
It could be good.
It could be good.
That's the thing. With different varieties of watermelons, there are different ways of telling. Sometimes you want to hear a nice metallic ting. Sometimes you want to hear it more of a thud. What you want to look for, though, is right here. This guy right here. You want to make sure that it's nice and clean. It's what's known as a slip.
Slip.
And then if it's not ripe, it still has a little bit, some fibers coming out of it. So that's the only one real guarantee that it is ripe.
All right,
let's
chop that open Korean style.
I thought you were going to do it the Bruce Lee style, but not so. Ooh.
Oh,
you just love that sound.
Yeah, I know. But this is the sound you're waiting for.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, it is good. It looks great.
Yeah.
So where is the fried chicken salad?
Was it? I figured that we can have have my fried chicken at any time, but you can only enjoy the watermelon like this once a year.
And Koreans like to dig in just like this. No style, just dig in, right?
That's right. It's the best way to enjoy it.
This
Very
is
good.
the best way, I think. All right, thank you, Matthew, for that.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks for the watermelon, too.
Enjoy this watermelon as we wrap up the show, so bon appetit to you.
All right, that's what we have for you for today's edition of Korea Today.
Have a great weekend. See you back here on Monday. Bye-bye.
Enjoy your weekend.